Today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about transformation. In this video, I'm going to be talking about old traumas and things, sharing a little bit about my story and how I have dealt with some of these things and how I'm currently dealing with them and how I plan to get through it. So, to share a little bit, I am living in Washington now. I've returned and I have a lot of things from my childhood here still. I have a lot of things that remind me of my old younger self and things like that, right? And in the past 4 or 5 years, I've been traveling a lot. I've gone to school overseas, and I've been living with family in Brazil and as well California. And I always find that those are the moments when I'm away from the home that I can grow and learn more about myself, as some of you may relate. Comes that it's not always able to vacation or travel or however for a time, right? Unless you are able to reach that sort of level and have that freedom to be able to do so. But me, in my current situation, I have had to come back to my parents' house to deal with some of these things that are sort of keeping me stuck from living a life like that, and that's sort of what I'm going through now and how I'm dealing with it and my goals and plans to get through that. So as good as it is to travel and visit all these new places, I've always had to come back here. Something's always brought me back here to the place that I grew up, to the place that I was born, where I have all my belongings. Whether that was after school, the pandemic, I had to come back here, or I just spent enough time with a certain family or friend, and it's that I come back here to my parents' house. And here, I will say the energy is much different. It's a lot of trauma from my childhood can, still be locked in here, whether that's, energetically, some belongings that have that sort of old identity linked to it, or whether it's just in my mind where I'm associating different beliefs and things with, the walls, the paintings, things like that just remind me of how things used to be, and I just accept that, right? But the key is to not accept that. So if you are in a situation where you are in the same place where all these traumas took place and they continue to trigger you, right? And I'm going to share with you how to get through that. So I've only been back for about a week and a half this time, and the minute I got here, I was, in that sort of playing victim mentality, like why do I have to be here? It was so good in California. Let me be back in California. And I've come to realize that that will end up being a self-fulfilling prophecy for these self-limiting beliefs, where I say, hey, I'm not able to do this. I believe that, and that's going to become true. I'm not, I'm telling myself I'm not able to live in this house. There's all these traumas and things like that. But today I was doing a yoga practice, and yoga is very great. I recommend you do it. It brings a lot of clarity and challenge that you have to push past, and that can be, a great metaphor or tool to relate to life, and you can learn a lot from yoga. But in my meditation, I was thinking, why am I telling myself all these things about I'm not able to? Because if you really are to deconstruct it, you would see that it is not true, and you are able to tell yourself another story. So the key here is to first, realize these traumas, understanding, I acknowledge them, changing the meaning. So I used to say, for example, hey, why do I keep coming back to this place? Why? Victim mentality. And now that whatever, I'm not looking at the right attitude, and it's about changing your attitude and how you see that. So now I think of it as like, hey, I've been given this opportunity to, heal my traumas, regardless of how much of a challenge it is. I have, this opportunity to take responsibility and, in a sense, boss up, level up to places that I haven't been before. And so it's just about, realizing what it is actually, and not necessarily making it a negative thing. And you don't even have to see it as a positive thing either, but seeing it as neutral, something that is just fundamental to your growth and development as a human being. So I've become aware of that now, and you can say, hey, it's so great there, but just take it as it is, and as fundamental. So I'm over saying I can't do this, all this trauma is here, right? And it can be very difficult to realize that it is not real. I mean, possibly there's trauma carried between relationships and things like that, and that takes time to heal and to go inside and work on those beliefs, to deconstruct them. So that's the first step, is to deconstruct them, to become aware of them, and to neutralize them, to see that it is just fundamental. And then the next step is to, once you've healed that, you're able to reconstruct your beliefs, and able to tell yourself a new story about this situation and create your own reality. So, for example, I was living beautifully in one place, let's say California, for example, because I didn't have these walls, these beliefs. And I come here and I have these beliefs for 20 so years, and I believe them, I conform to them, I attach to them. But now, this week, I'm sharing with you my story, and how I'm sort of unlocking this right now and it takes work, it takes time, it's a challenge, and it's about deconstructing that. So I'm not going to believe that this old story I used to tell myself about my parents are the reason for the trauma, and all these habits of mine are due to this, and I'm not blaming anything anymore. And in fact, I'm taking responsibility now and saying, hey, you know what? I'm gonna change this. This wall is dirty. I'm not gonna blame the wall for being dirty. If I want the wall clean, I will clean it, and that's gonna help me wire in, reconstruct my reality, right? And the belief that of this sort of victim mentality doesn't serve any purpose. It's really easy to latch onto. It might feel comfortable, but it does not serve any purpose. So a lot also has to do with, the comfort zone. It's super easy to get comfortable in our old ways that are familiar. So if we have traumatic ways from the past where we eat chocolate when we feel a certain way, that can, or you have these different mechanisms, coping mechanisms, right, that you are comfortable with, but that are keeping you stuck in a cycle, and you're not able to deconstruct that and reconstruct a new reality, if that makes any sense. That also leads into, sort of diet can play a big part on our mentality and mindset, and I'm sure I can make another video on that, but it's just an example of a cycle where, a habit loop. There's a great book, The Power of Habit. You read the first few sections and you understand a little bit more about how habits are formed. And it's about, you see a trigger, and then you take action on that, and then you get sort of like a reward, and it just is a cycle. So going through that cycle, you are reaffirming those beliefs and that reality. So I'll give an example today on how to what to do and how to deal with this is, today in my yoga practice, it can be very challenging, some of these positions, and it's like you just need to like really it's so easy to just quit and give up. For example, for me, one of my bad habits is just like, we're just gonna go lay down and look at my phone, right? I'm sure many of us do it because that's how some things are designed now for us to do, is to get locked into those sort of things. And so when we're in those challenging things, it's so easy to